Hey, San Marcos, I want to go over some concerns many in our community have about transparency in the comprehensive plan, the downtown plan, and the Dunbar Heritage Plan. And quite frankly, this also rolls back to Code SMTX. Many of us in our community believe that city staff cherry pick comments, and now I've got proof positive that that happens. See, every time they get up, and they go over one of these situations, they tout how much outreach they have and how many comments they have, but they don't release those comments to the public. And taking the situation where we had a downtown plan and then planning and zoning crafted an alternative plan, and then Amanda and her crew crafted a third plan, which was pretty much like the first plan, keeping in mind that city planners, when they finish their service for the city of San Marcos, where do they go? They don't go work for a neighborhood advocacy group or a homeowners association, or they don't go into historic preservation. And I would love if someone could drop in the chat an aberration to that. Exemplar case studies are Matthew Lewis, Abigail Gilfon, and most notably Sharon Mattingly. They go work for developers or they open up their own consulting agencies. So it benefits their careers personally to craft these sorts of plans that are pro-developer, and gosh knows what kind of relationships they have with developers. So whenever a city staff states how many numbers of comments they have on sticky notes, it gets to be sticky wicked. First thing I want to do is I want to read a response from city staff when I asked them. Here was my, let's see, do I have it? No, I'm going to have to find the original email that I sent. In fact, let me just actually, first I'm going to read city staff's response, and then I'm going to read the demands I have. So I followed up, this is a liaison to city staff. I followed up with staff and they stated that all the written comments were transcribed, which there is sus right there, were transcribed and provided to the consultant. So the consultant doesn't have the original sticky notes. However, they were not posted online. They also took high quality pictures of the board, so they have the comments documented in that way. A few of the comments were very specific about certain residents, developers, and staff did not think it was appropriate to post them. Even though all the comments are not posted, they were considered. See, there's no warrant to back up the claim. How can I verify what comments were made and how you process through them? So now here's how they counter what they say. And in a minute, I'm going to actually pause this recording and I'm going to read to you my original question, and then I'm going to show you my open records. So now let's do a screen share and and see, here's the point. That's not a legitimate reason. If they send the comments to the consultants but don't release to them to the public, and we're the ones paying for the plan, that's sus. It's sticky sus. If the stickies were provided for the public without, how do we know if those stickies were not provided to the consultant without any form of filtering, right? Through the lens of the all-powerful city staff. Now, let me show you this, and in a minute, I'm going to show you how to navigate to that. Here's the comprehensive plan. The mayor asked a question. What criteria determined which concepts would go in the plan and which would not? I think she meant not, but I think it's a Freudian slip, or maybe she's being clever. Sticky note. Bottom line, what was the criteria by which the decision was made to include a comment in the plan? Here's staff's response. We don't know who wrote it. There were not specific criteria for choosing comments. This is a basic violation of strategic thinking. I teach my students you always have a criteria when you when you craft a plan, right? Or in this case, how to choose the comments. Was it one comment? Did 10 people write the comment? Was it a specific individual whose comments were valued? Who was that individual? Planning is a discipline that incorporates education best practices. No, we don't have what those best practices are, especially within the context of selecting public input for a comprehensive plan. That is sticky note sus right there. The knowledge of the community the knowledge of the community is one. Knowledge of the community one is planning for and input to the public. Whose knowledge? New urbanist ideology, historic preservation, prevention of flooding. The planner then writes a plan based on all this information. Well, is the information cherry picked? Is it complete? I mean, I want to know who showed up for the Dunbar Heritage Plan, what those addresses are, and I'm going to show you those open records in a minute. Staff attended as many community events as possible during the planning process in an attempt to hear from as many community members as possible. That's poor writing, because using the word possible twice. During the planning process, alliteration, I'll give you that, and to inform the public about the plan. No, you didn't inform us about the plan. You informed us that there was a plan being rolled out. We would get these plans, like the Dunbar Heritage Plan, like over at the end of a week. You guys were gone for Veterans Day on a Friday. There was a Monday meeting. So that's a falsehood. And that's troubling, and that's not equity, and that's not transparent. It's actually asking us to drill through an extensive document in a very short period of time. Moreover, those sticky notes and all of those previous plans with the public comments and every public hearing with those comments typed up and links to the videos should have been in the interactive process. See, city staff count. They don't count on someone like me that attends every meeting and has an archaeological knowledge. And what they like to do is build their own sub-narrative. They create their own origin story in the middle of the plot. This amount of outreach, well, why don't you quantify that? Why don't you give us the dates of the meeting and the number of people and their addresses who participated? Has not been done in the past. Poppycock. They had a significant number of people attend these outreaches for Code SMTX, and all of our sticky notes were thrown in the trash, I'm pretty sure, the proverbial trash. In fact, I should file an open records on that stuff. In the past, staff is proud of all the community participation. Well, if you're so proud, then post the sticky notes. This is just an emotional plea to ethos is what this is. There's no logos in here at all, nor is there any ethos logos. So this is all pathos. There's no logos in here. Ethos, and there's no ethos as well. They're undercutting their own ethos. All comments received were transcribed and provided to the consultants for consideration. So basically, they took the message board content and they hashed it out and sent it back to me in an email, because I went back and I'm like, let me go back and see if there's stuff on the message board. And by the way, public, the only reason why this message board is public is because of me, because I dropped a dime on the AG. Bert bucked me left and right, and quite frankly, so did Melissa and Lisa. So, but we're gonna let that go. No one comment would have been included verbatim. Well, that's troubling. The comprehensive plan is a document filled with ideas and topics. Well, tell us, what's your rubric for what an idea and a topic is? This is like, we're not creating, we're not creating like a manifesto. We're creating a document that needs to be quantifiable for guiding the land use in this community, that will be used as a weapon, a rhetorical weapon against the public, where you do have grids that are quantifiable in the end game. It is a single comment. It is a single comment. If a single comment was received on a topic, it may or may not have been included in the plan. See, now we don't see, so how do we fact check that? How do we fact check which comments? And the only reason why some of my comments made is because I had to write them literally 5 times and back them up with like 10 speeches. Like the notion of having an emergency evacuation plan at Victory Gardens in case there's a trail derailment. Like the situation with the notion of gentrification. And by the way, we need to thank that neighbor that lives right by that railroad tracks there in Victory Gardens. That's the only reason why I became aware of it when I was campaigning for political office a number of years ago. So it's taken me a number of years for it to get it through their thick heads that this is an actual life or death issue. For example, when asking for all high-rise and multifamily, for example, asking for all high-rise and all multifamily whatever would not have been included in the plan because it is not a best practice and doesn't fit what planners know about the community. Yeah, right. Like if someone really made that comment, and if they did, we all know it's cockamamie. But let's see if she gives us an example of protecting the neighborhoods. Keep that in mind. However, the projected population growth will require more dense housing types. That's subjective. And not only is this subjective that we need dense housing types, but the projected population growth is subjective, and she doesn't provide any research warrant for her claim, including single family townhomes and multi apartments. So now she's admitting that city planners subjectively created this as a subjective rubric with an end game for data. I mean, the economy is taking a recession, right? We could have a myriad of situations like COVID happen in this community. And for them to say this is the solution is an abomination of the planning process. Also keep in mind that city planners have their own individual bias, whether it's to create an infrastructure for more city planners and more consultants that they may work for in the future, or their own ideological bent brainwashing from their collegiate education. So this also verifies that they did not take in consideration the concerns of historical preservationists, as exemplified by they don't have architectural historians crafting that plan, and they're bucking it every which way that they can because they want to micromanage even down to the drop of the language in these documents. The topic of multifamily and density must be discussed in the plan, even if there were no comments received. What? I know a lot of us are very concerned about that. So this is a theoretical, which is a falsehood. Alternatively, if a topic was discussed, commented on multiple times, that topic would be in the plan. Well, a lot of us want historic preservation, and it's not in the Dunbar plan. And I would challenge anybody to do a situation where we actually do a word count on the number of times historical preservation or ecological protection is in there versus sustainable development, which is a code word for new urbanism ideology. And then all of the myriad of transportation little transportation pet projects they have, like bulb outs and bike lanes and bus stops. Environmental protection. See, there's not even environmental protection in the plan. They don't even use that word. I mean, I would have to go back and fact check that, but what I usually see is sustainable. And so it's ironic that this is the verbiage that she's using. I would have to fact check my claim here, but I remember being pissed off because I didn't see ecological protection and environmental protection. See, usually the way they use this word is sustainable. So I find that very interesting that that was her word choice. Is an example of a topic that was discussed often in the process and including the plan. No, it wasn't. You transcribed the word to sustainable. So she's proving my point here. Finally, some topics like economic development, for example, are best written by a professional with experience in that field. Bingo. That's why we need archaeological or architectural, historical preservationists doing that plan. But but they refuse to have them in the Dunbar plan. And then she talks about that. Now, let me stop sharing screen and let me now go to my open records request that I filed and read that to you. And then, what I'm going to do is go into my original questions of what I asked when I read you that city staff response, because I want you to hear, let's see here. Let's see. I've got multiple open records that I found. So I filed an open records about the Dreamers attendance. That's funny. And that finally came in. Okay, so here is one of my open records. I've got another YouTube channel called The Quarantine Catholic, and I got locked out on my other one on my other computer, so I just use that. So let's just go into here. So here's my Quarantine Catholic. So I'm like, documents of all outreach efforts with names and addresses of public input with dates of corresponding to those outreach events for the comprehensive plan, the downtown plan, and the heritage plan. See, citizens of San Marcos, my fellow taxpayers, if they're not going to post it, and if they're going to refuse to put this on, I'm going to have to plug in, hang tight, I'm going to have to plug in my charger. If they're going to refuse to put this in the interactive agenda and refuse to send it to me, I'm going to file an open records, because that's sus that the trajectory of all the public input is not in the final rendition when people go through the packet, so people can fact check Andrea's presentation of how proud she is of how much public input. Shows you, once again, sticky note sus. Documents should include sticky notes, outreach events, and any form of documentation used for these plans so citizens can compare the names and addresses to the comments to validate legitimacy. Documents specifically for Dunbar Heritage Plan should provide ability to validate that comments used for these plans were the actual neighbors, not outside parties. In other words, Carson shows up with a bundle of pre-hashed sticky notes in his little Brooks Brothers pockets and sticks them all over the board, or he has his interns show up. We have an invasion of a bunch of pro-bike people sticking their sticky notes, and it's not the usual taxpayers like me who are engaged, or more importantly, people who should be engaged who didn't even know about the plan or couldn't show up, right, because of COVID, and they've got health immune situations. Any redactions will be requested. Any redaction request will be sent to the Attorney General's office, right? So that's the first one. Now let me show you the second one that I filed, and let me just go ahead and find that one. This one is, okay, here we go. Here's the other one I filed. And I did these yesterday when I was super tired, but that's oftentimes when I do my good work. I tell students, I'm like, if you think you work well under pressure, try not doing that. And I'm one of these people that always gets my stuff in early. So hence I can actually work well under pressure. I feel like I can. Documents of all sticky notes and any documents that city staff interpret as public feedback submitted to MIG, which is the consultant who's running off with the bag of money for the Dunbar Heritage Plan. Documents of all sticky notes and any documents city staff interpret as public feedback submitted to MIG for the downtown plan. Documents of all sticky notes and any documents that the city staff interpret as public feedback submitted to the MIG comprehensive plan. Now, the last piece of this analysis, because I'm tired of writing an email. I teach public speaking. I've given thousands of speeches. I think I've hit my 10,000 mark as a master in my discipline, and I'm a talker. Yes, I've written an OER, an open, was it open educational resource textbook, but it's not fun, right? I mean, I'm not a writer, I'm a public speaker. So now let me go to the actual email that I sent to city staff. And here's what I requested. I'm not going to show the whole email because there's other stuff in here, and and this was me trying to be nice, which I should show you, but whatever. So I'm like, regarding Monday night, why does planning not have a scattered diagram of the participants who attended the workshop of stickies? In other words, I want to know where they live. I'm puzzled why we do not have the names of the stickies nor those posted online, those posted notes posted online. I thought that was a real clever, pun on the words. Those posted notes posted online. Attendees sign in. Why would we keep their comments anonymous? Staff changed the rules to ordinances using common sense. They ran the historical resources survey through the HPC, the Historic Preservation Commission. And just because there is no requirement, it is puzzling that they did not do the same with such a significant document. And it is even more curious why it is not a requirement. The "not" was in all caps. They created an entire downtown plan favorable to developers after P&Z created option 2, and that was revealing of bias. They released the plan last week and expect the public to masticate it over a holiday weekend, in italicized, and then then we need to show up on a Monday, and not even have time to communicate with staff, right, because they're out on Friday, the P&Z nor elected officials. Maybe they ran out of stickies. I thought that was clever. Okay, so then now, so then Amanda sends me an email today saying, hey man, she's like, yo, let me show you where the link is. Cause you're like, your claim on P&Z during your comments on Monday night and Tuesday night, you mentioned that the P&Z email addresses were not in line. I wanted to provide a link to the page which these are located. One can email a commissioner individually using the links in the center of the page, blah, like, yeah, okay, got it. So now so basically she sends that and then I click on the link and then I email her back and I'm like, yo, and then I go from the home page to the government drop-down tab to boards and commissions. There is not a link. The link that you just sent me, that link is not there. The link you provided me is from development services. And then she says, thank you for this additional information. I will check with our communications team to see if we can add a link to the page that you referenced. So now let me back up and I'm going to show you the link she showed me. And I'm going to prove to you that there was no way for people to send a link and and I'm going to explain to you the logic. So this is the link that Amanda sends me, right? It's planning and zoning link. And then I guess I can click on their email and I'm not going to do that. Let's just go copy emails. So there's an email address, right? But here's the deal. This is under boards and commissions, okay, that's where it is, but you actually access this link from planning and development services, right? If you go to boards and commissions, this is under boards of commissions submenu of planning and development services. So they've cloned their own little mini substack of boards and commissions under planning development services. Now let's actually go to boards and commissions from the main homepage. That's what I'm telling them. I'm like, yo, you go here, you click on here, you hover, click on it. Now I go to boards and commissions. Okay, so I can go to planning and zoning, and I showed you this in a previous video, but I'm going to demonstrate it again. So I go to boards and commissions, and I go to planning and zoning. And she's already admitted it, right? In her email, she can get back with communications. See, but that's the problem. Why isn't the equity officer identifying these things? And then I click on there and I can't remember, and I demonstrated you, I go to member roster and it's not there. Open link, right? And so I open the link and like, I don't even have a contact information for for Chairman Garber. I mean, that's sus. That's like planning and zoning sus. That's like, this, I don't even have a clever word. I mean, literally there should be like, yo, here's his email, right? And then if I go to here, members, there's no way, right? I've just demonstrated that. I open up the link in another tab. There's William Agnew. There's no way for me to do it. The email should be right here. And then if I go to, so anyway, I've showed you guys this and she's admitting it. So now let me show you how to navigate to this message board, which I showed you at the top of my video. And this is something I fought for 5 years. It was like, Bert's like, I'm the new cowboy in town. We're going to have a message board. And I'm like, yo, it's in the Texas Open Meetings Act. It needs to be available to the public. That guy fought me. I think it took me 4 or 5 years. And I don't know why Jane and Lisa and Melissa blocked me on it, but I know everybody now goes to the interactive agenda because they'll like tell me and I'm like, yeah, I know, I've read it. So, oh wait, I'm sorry. So that's interactive agendas. That's how you pull the packet. But I do love that people use it. And then sometimes my fellow citizens, like I've got a friend down the street, they found something recently on a different topic. I'm like, no, I didn't know that. I was like, I got that message board live. And she's like, I know. So let's go to the message board. So citizens, whenever you give a speech, go to the message board. So if you go to, I think it was like November 14th, wait, was it 1106? Vision comprehensive plan. This is where I got that from, right? And then you can go to the downtown plan and there's a proposed amendment. Jane's always on the spot. I don't really see much action from other people. But anyway, that's the sticky note sus. It's like invasion of the sticky notes. And sticky notes written with invisible ink. If you guys are going to tout, city planners, if you're going to tout how engaged citizens are, then you need to post it. Otherwise, It's being filtered through you. And I don't trust you. I've tried to make peace with Amanda and Andre and Allison, and they can verify that. I've tried. But once I saw that comp plan, and once the 7-story came out, the 7 stories downtown by where the old elms are, and they specifically gerrymandered the very plot that this developer's been working with them directly not to have a neighborhood plan, it was like, all bets are off. I'm a Sicilian. I wash my hands of you. Like the fact that you don't have those sticky notes posted in your PowerPoint, like not a photo of it. Like I want to see the sign-in sheet, and you need to have a card, a pre-printed card, name, address, comment. Otherwise, someone can roll in there with a million sticky notes and stick them all over the board. Or you can literally be sitting in there right? Like you can literally be like, absentee voting, let's just go ahead and throw a bunch of those in the mailbox. Like I can't verify that. I mean, that's like, you remember when you guys used to play school? You're playing planner. And I am I now, well, let me just say this. They couldn't make a quorum the other night for the Ethics Review Commission meeting, and I wouldn't have been able to I thought it was tonight, y'all. That's why I'm making this video. I was like ready to roll up my sleeves and talk about it. And one of the topics is, should city staff be liable for an ethics review violation? I don't know if you guys watched the whole thing with Barbara Quirk and how she told the P&Z not to answer my question, so I filed a complaint. She hired an attorney, and then they send me these motions on a Saturday before a Monday night hearing. And so for every one of their motions, I had like 10 answers and an overview. And it was basically like me getting a bottle of whiskey in a proverbial barroom bra, knocking it off, like, I'll take all 3 of you on. And I was all dressed up. I had a microphone, which I should do in these videos. And I was all dressed up, and I got to talk for an hour. And I'm sorry, city staff should be accountable, because what's the alternative? A lawsuit? Filing a complaint? Because I always try to handle things internally. Right? And the only time my work has gone to the AG is when city staff insists it goes to the AG, except for some of these examples like citizen comments and the message board, right? Then I'll drop a dime. But as far as filing an official complaint, I've never done it. Is that what city staff want? Would they rather, I mean, first of all, it should never get to that point. So, okay, well, this has been an extended video. It's been going on for, I don't know how long, but thank you for watching my video.